Let's start with a number. 2,264 tons. This is the official gold reserve of China, or at least that's what they report to the world. It's the number you see in all the financial reports, the one all the analysts use. It's treated like a fact. But what if it's not just wrong? What if it's a lie? A lie so big, it's hiding in plain sight. Because, you see, when you stop listening to what they say and you start watching what they actually do, a totally different story emerges. Forensic analysts who track the actual physical metal moving from west to east, well, they arrive at a number that is shockingly different. We're not talking a little off, we're talking closer to 30,000 tons. And the gap between those two numbers, well, that could change absolutely everything. So yeah, there's a lie sitting right at the heart of the global financial system, and it's designed to lull the West into a false sense of security. The official number, it's a fabrication. And the thing is, we don't need some leaked secret document to prove it. All we need is a calculator and the public data that Beijing seems to forget to hide. So in this analysis, we're going to do a kind of shadow audit. Cut through all the fog and find the truth. And finding that signal in all the noise, well, that's what we do here. To really understand why a country would secretly build a literal mountain of gold, we first have to look at the shaky ground our whole world is built on right now. If you're interested in these deeper forces shaping our world, make sure you subscribe to follow along with us. This whole shadow gold reserve really matters because of the unstable world we're all living in. You can feel it, right? The financial order that's been in place for decades is cracking, and smart nations are quietly getting ready for whatever comes next. Let's quickly break down what's driving this instability. The thing is, all these problems are connected. They feed on each other. Global debt is at levels we've never seen, which is fueling the sticky inflation that just eats away at your purchasing power. At the same time, geopolitical tensions are getting worse, turning old partners into rivals. And maybe the most important trigger, the use of financial sanctions and the seizure of foreign reserves. That sent a clear message to the world: your assets are only yours as long as you stay in line. And this gets right to the heart of the matter. The US dollar, the world's reserve currency, it's backed by credit. It's a promise, an IOU from the US government. But physical gold is completely different. It isn't a promise. It's collateral. It's a real physical asset that you hold in your hand with zero counterparty risk. In a world of rising conflict and asset seizures, holding real collateral beats holding someone else's IOU every single time. And that is the key to understanding China's entire strategy. Okay, so let's get into our first major piece of evidence. I call it the Shanghai choke point. This is the smoking gun. It reveals the undeniable physical flow of gold into China and just completely blows up their official story. So let's take a look at what this choke point actually is. It's called the Shanghai Gold Exchange, or SGE. Now, this isn't like the paper markets in London and New York where they're just trading derivatives. No, the SGE is a physical market. It's all about the delivery of actual real gold bars. And here's the crucial part. The SGE is the only legal gateway for gold to enter China. This creates a perfect bottleneck where we can literally stand and count the bars as they come in. And when we count those bars, the numbers are just staggering. Since 2008, the total amount of physical gold pulled out of the Shanghai Gold Exchange is more than 25,000 tons. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. This data is public. They publish it in reports every week and every month. You can actually graph it yourself and see these massive spikes whenever gold prices dipped in the West and Chinese buyers swooped in to vacuum it all up. Just look at the disconnect here. It's insane. On the one hand, you've got this tiny little bar representing the official reserve, just over 2,200 tons. And right next to it, you have this absolute monster of over 25,000 tons of real physical gold that we know entered the country. The official number isn't just wrong, it's statistically impossible. It's a decoy. It has to be. So this brings us to the big question, and I'd love to see what you guys think in the comments below. If the central bank only claims to have a tiny fraction of this, where did 25,000 tons of physical gold actually go? The common explanation you hear in the West is convenient, but as we're about to see, it's also just fundamentally wrong. The standard dismissal you'll get from Western economists is something like, oh, that's just jewelry. It's just consumer spending. Grandma's buying necklaces for the new year. The argument is that it's just retail, not a strategic reserve. But that explanation shows a complete and frankly fatal cultural misunderstanding. It's projecting Western habits onto a completely different savings culture. Think about it. In the West, gold jewelry is a luxury good with a massive markup. You buy it, and its resale value is a tiny fraction of what you paid. But in China, and really across the East, jewelry is a primary way to save. It's usually pure 24-karat gold, and it's sold by weight with a very small premium. When a Chinese citizen buys a gold bracelet, they aren't consuming, they are banking. They're turning their savings into a hard asset that their own government has encouraged them to own. Okay, on to the second pillar of our investigation, what I like to call the Golden Roach Motel. And you know the saying, right? The gold checks in, but it never checks out. This explains how China makes sure its own massive domestic gold production never, ever leaves the country. Now, here's something most people don't realize. For over a decade, China hasn't just been the world's biggest buyer of gold, it's also been the world's largest producer. Their mines pump out roughly 400 tons of gold every single year. That's way more than traditional mining countries like Australia or the United States. And this homegrown supply is a massive strategic asset, especially when you learn about one very important rule they have. And this rule is the Roach Motel mechanism in action. It's simple. China has a strict zero export policy on any gold mined within its borders. Think about that. Gold mined in Nevada or Australia hits the global market and circulates, but every single ounce mined in China is legally forbidden from being sold internationally. It goes straight from the mine into the state-controlled system and is permanently removed from the world market. So let's just do the quick math. China's been the top producer since about 2007. If you average 400 tons per year since then, you get more than 8,000 tons of gold. We know it was mined. We know it was illegal to export it. So where is it? It's sure not in that official 2,264 ton number. That 8,000 tons, all by itself, is basically equivalent to the entire official gold reserve of the United States. So here's another strategic question for you. If the world's #1 producer is basically a supply black hole, firewalling 400 tons of new gold from the global market every year, what does that do to the long-term gold supply and the way its price is discovered? It's a huge deal. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Okay, let's just pause for a second and consolidate what we've uncovered. We now have two completely verifiable massive flows of physical gold. Both of them point to a hidden stockpile that absolutely dwarfs the official numbers. And when you combine these two pillars, you start to see the real outline of China's shadow reserve. So let's tally it up. First, we have over 25,000 tons of foreign gold that we can verify was imported through the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And second, we have over 8,000 tons of their own domestically mined gold that was legally trapped inside the country. You add those together, and even if there's a little overlap, we are easily clearing 30,000 tons. And here's the crazy part. This incredible number, this 30,000-ton floor that we've just established using nothing but public data, this is only part of the story. The two pillars we just looked at are just the most visible parts of the structure. But there are deeper, even more secretive layers to this hoard that push the number even higher and really reveal the ultimate endgame. In part 2 of this analysis, we are going to dive into those final layers. We'll investigate the shadow reserves held by the huge state-owned banks. We'll uncover the classified gold stashes of their military. And most importantly, we will reveal China's strategic endgame. Our growing Bullion Signal community is already talking about this stuff, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll leave you with this one final thought for this part. For 2 decades, China just took the mockery from Western economists, they absorbed the price suppression, and they quietly prepared. They spent 20 years building a 30,000-ton lifeboat while the West was busy printing paper tickets for the Titanic. The accumulation phase is ending. Of course, this analysis is just for informational purposes, and it's not meant to be financial advice. The goal here is just to give you the data and a framework so you can see the world a bit more clearly. Always conduct your own deep research before making any investment decisions. We'll see you in part 2.